Good evening, everybody. This is Tabile Mashamase, your partner in wealth. Today we are bringing you a masterclass, of course, with Ubaba Nhleko, because we wanted to talk about creation of generational wealth. So for me, who is the best speaker for that topic? So Mfundis Nhleko, he's also the founder and the chairperson of Millionaires Empire, that is serving or aiming ukuthi ukukhulisa abantu emnothweni ukuthi babe bangene kwezamabhizinisi and go to the marketplace and rule and dominate. So he's especially mentors, teachers on wealth in Millionaires Empire. So welcome you, Baba Namhlanje. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, and it's a great honor to be here this afternoon.
Siyabonga kakhulu, Baba. And I think this also topic came because we're thinking because one of the aims of doing these sessions, of doing financial tips that we normally give out, we break the cycle of a black tax. Is to break that cycle yokuthi fanele ngiphinde ngibuyele emumva uma ngisebenza ngisasebenzele ekhaya uma ngisebenza, I've got things that are still pulling me back. Ey'ngane zami ziya-affecteka because they find umama so that I did not achieve anything for them. Even for myself, I'm not even happy. So we're actually giving these tips and teaching abantu so that we break that cycle. And it dawned to me, which is the best way. And we've seen with the white nation, we see abantu abamhlophe, they create generational wealth. To have that generational wealth, to have low mnoto that is being transferred. Because they are doing it, I think it's not wrong. We could and we should also learn and do something about it. The black text, that's all. So, Baba, from your heart to you, what is generational wealth?
I will start off by actually saying, yes, we have to speak on such topics because we are coming from a very challenging season or times where we were very much disadvantaged, and I want to say that as black people we've been disadvantaged in a number of things.
Yes. And
now that we are actually picking up or have an opportunity to build or create wealth, there are a lot of loopholes we have to actually close, And as you are saying, with whites, it happens. But I think also we must not forget they're a better platform to build those systems to a point where it has become easy for them to do it. And with us, there are a lot of things that we still need to uproot to get to where they are. And it's years of uprooting those things that we were taught as black people in order to get to a point where we are even with how they operate. For instance, you will hear a black person growing up thinking or we used to think to be well off you need to ube nomlungu as an image, that's why a person that is wealthy today, other black people will refer to them as umlungu wami or whatever the case is, because there is still a lot to be dealt with. So I wanted to start there, as much as we are dealing with these things of black tax, but we need to be taught even more on what it is to create wealth so that we can be able to actually overcome those experiences. But for me, generational wealth is building sustainable systems that benefit each generation to live above limits and even make impact in their economy. As you know, with maskulma wealth is about a world of plenty. We are speaking about a world where there's nothing missing, nothing lacking. So overflow. We are speaking about abundance. We are speaking about something that does not just affect you and your family, but that affects even to the 4th generation. You know, so for me, the wealth is actually building, is being able. When we speak about generational, you need to understand it moves to the next person. So I need to build sustainable systems that will benefit the generation that I'm actually creating wealth for.
Systems
about systems, we are speaking about how things should operate. You know, there are people who today think money will just appear on their table, where they think there is something called miracle money. That's why we find when people think about huge amounts of money, they don't think work. They just think, you know, if I could meet up with someone on a malang need, if I could marry a husband, if I could come across, so they don't think work, you know. And so must come about sustainable, about building sustainable systems. We are speaking about building a culture of work within you, building a culture of work in order to be able to see ingcebo appear. Yes.
Ingcebo appearing. So how does, let me say, for a person does not even understand the term generational wealth, umaskhuluma generational wealth, sishinte kanjani umcebo umnotho umi kanjani?
We must come about generational wealth. Wealth in itself, as I was saying, wealth in itself is it's plentiful supply. It's having more than enough.
Nice.
It's having, you know, it's having things work in your favor. It's actually building a legacy that will actually not be worked for by the next generation because you have already built it, but they will actually benefit from it. It's a matter of which when it gets to them, they just need to continue with the systems that you were working on in order. Okay, let me give you a typical example. When God speaks to Adam, here is a garden, I'm giving you a garden, work it and take care of it, you know. And Unkulunkulu had built that garden for Adam as his wealthy place. So all he had to do was to bring about maintenance, you know. But him was there, and God even made him full. A little Bible. There were 4 streams of rivers. I got the Kalela eating. So everything, the seeds were there. Everything that God wanted to Adam to benefit from, he had worked it. He had worked it out, and so God tells Adam to actually maintain it. So when you speak about creating wealth, you are speaking about that. You as a person now need to create something that your next generation can work on, maintain it, take care of it. All the hard labor has been done by you and provided by you. So must come about generational wealth. Our generations that are coming after us must find izinto ezakhiwe thina. Kungabe ukuthi basazoqala phansi bayofuna imbewu, bayofuna izinto. Kodwa kube ukuthi now they need to acquire wisdom on how to maintain what we have already built for them.
Usho kanjalo baba, I'm thinking this industry, taxi industry. I think I've seen most of the fathers who have started taxi, they create something of that sort. But what happens is when you see my families, if one passes by, ubaba is passed on, how alisekho business lama taxi like haya kwakade kudume ngokuthi nje kusema taxini kunamabhasi kunani, you know, the transportation mawubheka vele it will forever be here, so it's needed. So that is a very nice example what I'm thinking about. But then Baba, how do you make sure when as the founder, as the person who's starting that, to make sure when I go they don't fight over these things? How do we work on that?
The truth of the matter is you can't build anything without admin. You must have admin. You put it in a formal setting or casual, but there must be some means of administration. You know, we have learned as church leaders today that what makes your church to tick is administration. You know, anything that you will have success on needs to be administered. You know, you need to have a certain way of administrating it. And so it's also important to know, Uguti, even as you build wealth, you know, you can't just build wealth and not build people. You must build people, because what matters is the capacity on the people who are going to manage this. Because you can have all the money, but that wealth will be wasted if you have not built capacity on people. So in order to not have those conflicts and not have what you have built for years get wasted over a minute, over a day, you need to build people as well. So it's one of the things that scripture will say, ukuthi khulisa umntwana ngendlela akuyothi mayisekhulile angasuki kuyo. Ngamanye amagama, so as you build systems, you also need to build people, and in building people you build capacity, you build on them, you know what, this is how I handle things, and this is how, you know, you need to learn things are handled in this manner.
Let me say you've got I'm out eggies, but I'm growing up as a child. I don't want to be involved in the taxi industry. And you find you've got 4 sons, 4 children. They all don't want to.
I
Even
think
your wife hates this business.
I think that's what I'm saying, Uguti. When you build systems, you know, when you are building systems, you must understand, Uguti, you are not just gonna be an owner of a taxi industry yourself because you must build a culture. We are all owners here, you know. I'll refer it to church, you know. When I buy a sound system, when I buy a microphone, I may be the one using it, but I need to teach everyone who has access to the microphone on how to handle the microphone. Why? Because ngizoyiphatha kahle mina, but omunye umuntu mayengena a sense of ownership uzoyithatha igaxaze phansi. Why? Because they are not taught ukuthi we are owning here. I might be the first on top, but sonke funeke sibe na a sense of responsibility yokuthi what we have, what we possess belongs to all of us. And so Leo culture is easily built when you as a leader are going to start impacting your wife, impacting your children, and make them feel that sense of ukuthi leli business elethu akusile lami. Yes.
It showed. I'm sure it takes a lot of years, a lot of effort. Even now, you own yourself. It takes maybe, you know, that vision, having a vision, a generational. Let me be patient with my kids. Let me teach them. Let me introduce my wife. You know, you know, everybody be comfortable with this business we're doing. You're just making an example with the taxi industry. We find in the Bible God saying a good man leaves the inheritance for his children's children. I like the part why uNkulunkulu a good man. Is it because this good man will leave the inheritance, or there is characteristics ends a good man? So a good man will obviously leave the inheritance.
When scripture speaks about a good man, it actually means a godly man. It means a righteous man. You know, a righteous man leaves an inheritance for his children and his children's children. And when you check off the connotation of righteous, being righteous, it's actually means wearing that garment that God possesses. You know, righteousness is wearing the garment ingubo uNkulunkulu ayipossessayo. That garment that makes you to operate like him. That makes you to think beyond yourself. And you can't be a good man out of godliness. You need to have a sense of godliness in order to be a good man. That's why I just said umuntu olungile without godliness ufana nedwedwe ibolile, you know. So uNkulunkulu speaks about that ukuthi a good man, a godly man, a righteous man leaves an inheritance for his children. Why? Because naye uNkulunkulu is a selfless God. So uNkulunkulu was actually making us aware ukuthi a good man is a man that is selfless, a man that does not think, you know, within himself, but who will go and think generations. Imagine if uNkulunkulu did not think generations, where would we be right now? Remember ukuthi umebhubhisa umhlaba okokuqala ubhubhise ngamanzi, but he had to think generations, that whenever he thought of that experience abantu abadlule kuyona yamanzi, he had to actually put up a rainbow to say, next time imvula mayina, this will actually come as a sign to remind me ukuthi angisophinda ngibhubhisa umuntu ngamanzi, yabo. So namhlanje we are beneficiaries of what God thought many years ago, you know. So God was thinking generations. That's why normally you'll find out of the blue ukuthi now that rainbow comes out. Why? Because uNkulunkulu was thinking generations. We were not there when all that happened. We were not there when floods took place. But uNkulunkulu, being selfless, had to think years ahead. So a good man is that kind of a man who will think years ahead, who will think what affects me now must not affect umzukulu wami. What has how I've struggled, I don't want ukuthi ingane zami zistrugglishe. So now I'm no more just building things that will actually benefit me, you know. That's why it's important, and I even like the term God uses of wealth, because uNkulunkulu, when he speaks about riches, he's speaking about, you know, izinto benefitayo, but when he speaks about wealth, he speaks about generations, you know. So it's normal about ukuthi I want to have a name yokuthi I'm rich, but I want to have a name yokuthi I'm wealthy, because the wealth ayipheleli kimi, but the wealth iqhubekele izukulwaneni. And that's what God is saying when he says a good man leaves an inheritance. So a good man is selfless. A good man thinks generations beyond himself.
Sure. Because it's so sad when I'm thinking the mindset that we might sometimes have, Baba. Usakhuluma ngokuthi you think generation yomzukulu wami must not suffer into engisuffering right now. Because what if there are parents out there, because of the circumstances, omunye futhi uzokwenza selfishly athi thina nathi ashilwa ngalutho sayisebenzela sayibonela nani fundani nzenzele, you know. So don't think I'm gonna die and then you're gonna have things, you know. Some they will say those things and not care about generations, because mhlawumbe ingane zakhe ayibonayo zidlela insangu zeqela umgwaqo, you doing your own things, you don't care, isikole usithandi, you know, you are not a focused child. Uyabona ukuthi ayalika ithemba la, so yini nje ngizothi ngiyishela lo muntu. So in such cases though, what would you say to that parent on ama challenges amenza athi, you know what, I don't care about leaving anything behind?
No, that's why I emphasized on that term of a good man, because you need to be godly first yourself, you know. You can't fix little Bible singalungisi okuhle ngokubi. So you must actually do good even in those things that seem evil. Yabo ngoba unqoba okubi ngokuhle. And so it's important to understand ukuthi even as a parent you must not look at your children on the basis of their current state, but you must always strive to build them up while you are building for them. You know, because ekugcineni noNkulunkulu kube kuya ngokuthi amaphutha ethu, he's not supposed to bless us. He's not supposed to give us what he's giving us. But uNkulunkulu is so selfless that he has blessed us. He's giving us things even sin amaphutha, you know, and he even lays ama principles ukuthi this is how I want you to be. This is how I want you to turn out. So that's your responsibility as a parent ukuthi, you know, as a parent uNkulunkulu unike responsibility. Fundisa umntwana wakho, teach them. As you teach them, you are sowing those seeds that will make them realize, oh good, you know what, I'm now benefiting from this, because they don't have to learn while you are there. Some of them will learn when you are gone, you know. Sure. Some of them will realize your value when you are gone. Some of them is you know, because they're eating, they're having everything, and you're doing everything. But if you keep sowing that way, teaching them, even in your absence, bel value wishes like. Now I'll tell you a typical example. My dad is a typical gardener man, umuntu wasengadini, umuntu who is very handy. And for the longest time I did not even follow in his footsteps. I did not go to the yard, to the gardens and all of that. I even share a joke sometimes ukuthi I remember engisengadini ngenkani ngelinye ilanga ngihambe ngikherishe ngebicycle. I just took my leg purposely ngalifaka la emasondweni ebicycle. That's ngalithenga ibicycle lathena nonyawo lwami. And that was the end of the trip, you know. Ended up going to the clinic and all of that because I did not want to go there.
Yes.
But he did not stop saying ukuthi ngelinye ilanga uyoba indoda. And mawusu indoda ufuna ukwazi umsebenzi. You must know how to do things. You must know how to do this. Because mawusu indoda ngeke uhlale ulindele ukuthi uyobuna abantu obaqashayo. Khona ezinye izinto ezidinga wena ukuthi as a man you must do them. You know, and it took me to be in a state where, you know, my dad was normal I was normal in the covering yasekhaya where now I had my own place. And it took that state to remember my dad's words. It took that state to remember, which, you know what, now le nto baba isho ile nto sekufuneke ngiyifundise yona manje, yabo. So those words, you know, have become something that is wealth to me. Those words in themselves ukuthi kuyingcebo kimi manje ukuthi noma ngingakwenzanga ngalesa sikhathi ngisahamba naye, and I bless the Lord for him and for his life still now. But I'm thankful ukuthi he still continues to say, I'm sowing words to you so that you can reap from them. So it's important as a parent to understand ukuthi amazwi akho ayasebenza noma umntwana wakho engasekho ngaphansi kwesandla sakho.
Mfundisi, what are we doing wrong? Esenza sibe kude nalo generational wealth, or even starting to create it. Is this generation thinking about this? Are we doing it? What makes us to be far from engaging into creation of generational wealth?
I think if I may say, what makes us to be far off is being lazy. We are a generation that doesn't want to work. You know, when you speak about work in our generation, especially South Africans, you know, we are very much into backmouthing those who are working. That's why you'll find ukuthi umuntu osebenzile within us as South Africans, as Africans, we start, the first thing as you show, the first thing as you show, go to twele, you know, because umuntu magwasabenza kithi waba success sig associate nokuthwala nezilwane because asik associate nokusebenza kanzima. And again, there are other nations, like there are other African nations that have worked and they are working hard, and somehow we have been exposed to them even in our country, where they've come into our country and they've worked. And what have we done? Instead of learning from them, sihamba siyoba xenophobic against them. Why? Because into thina sifuna into associated nokusebenza. Asiyitshela ukuthi success ne wealth i-creator ukusebenza. Siyitshela ukuthi i-creator ukuthi, you know, sazana nobani, you know, ongifake, you know, ongconnect, and that's what we think ukuthi once you know a certain person, you know, for us it's being lazy, it's wanting status more than wanting the results of your hard labor. So that's what causes us to be stagnant in many areas, because at the same time, say, you know, it's easy for us to pull an image that is not there. You know, that's why, because we want to quick fix, we have not attached work into anything that we will see as imphumelelo for born. So that's the problem. Tina abantu abangama Africans, tina abantu abamnyama asifuna ukusebenza, sifuna status, sifuna izinto ezizoza kalula. Yes.
Would you then say ukuthi we are not fulfilling God's purpose on earth, or that maybe it's vast? Purpose kaNkulunkulu ngathi, maybe it might be vast, it might be.
Yeah, definitely, because if you're not gonna put your hours into what you want to see as a result, you are definitely gonna be against God's will, because which is against God's will. Uzogcina complacence, which is against God's will. Uzogcina when all these kind of nasty things, you know, and that is not fulfilling the assignment uNkulunkulu anayo ngathi, because uNkulunkulu ufuna ukuthi mangiphumelela ngize ngifike lapha okukapakela khona komunye umuntu, you know. It's and must come about generations. We are not speaking about ingane ezalwa yimi phela, but I'm speaking about ingane zakwethu. I'm speaking about my community. I'm speaking about, you know, my nation, you know. That's why khona izizwe namhlanje, if I may say, like a Muslim nation, those people, you'll rarely find them struggling. Why? Because wealth for them is not just about this household, but it's about their generation.
And that's why systems,
you know, they create systems that as a generation, as a community, they follow that system in order to be successful. They're doing different things, by the way, but in their different environments. That's why you'll find ukuthi mawufika la ufuna i-airtime ongayitholi, omunye uzokulayela ukuthi idayiswa lapha ya lo mawufika kuyena uthi hey bengifuna ne scare mhlawumbe akulayela omunye. Why? Because they know ukuthi we are building, we are impacting our generation, not just ingane zami, not just people abazalwa yimina, kodwa wonke umuntu who is within us, within our community.
This is a masterclass. We're having Mfundis Nhleko today. Next time we will be having the effect of the 20s and 40s. So we know within different stages, akufana desires when you were 20 and when you were 40. Something that Baba mentioned about his dad teaching him gardening. So next time you see the poster, make sure that you tune in, you share, you like. Make sure also that you hashtag keeping up with my money, because that is encouraging you to keep up with your money, knowing the ins and the outs of your bank statement. Thank you so much, Mfundisi. We will be having this masterclass now and then. We'll make sure that we don't invite different people, but abantu esibaziyo close to us that we know for sure they'll be sharing genuine information. They've got genuine hearts. So stay blessed. Thank you so much. This is Mashomase.
Thank you.